The sound scraped against the glass. It pulled Deepika from sleep. Her heart hammered against her ribs. The room was dark. The forest outside was a wall of black ink. Only the sliver of a moon offered light. Another tap came. It was soft. It was deliberate. She held her breath. Her village was small. It was a pocket of life carved from the dense Indian forest. Neighbors were close, but not this close. No one would be at her window at this hour. Her mind raced. A branch. The wind? It had to be the wind. But there was no wind tonight. The air was thick and still. It was heavy with the smell of damp earth and night-blooming jasmine. Tap, tap, tap. It was not the wind. Fear, cold and sharp, slid down her spine. She eased herself from the thin mattress. The floorboards were cool beneath her bare feet. She moved without a sound. Her husband, Samir, had taught her how to move in the forest. Now, a year after his death, she moved that way in her own home. She crept toward the window. Her hand trembled as she reached for the edge of the thin curtain. Who was out there? What did they want? The village was safe. It had always been safe, but the forest held secrets. It held dangers, tigers, leopards, bandites. She took a slow, deep breath. She pulled the curtain back a fraction of an inch. An eye stared back at her. It was large. It was dark and wet. It was framed by long, pale lashes. It was not human. But before we start, smash the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. Deepika's breath caught in her throat. She let the curtain fall. She stumbled back, her hand flying to her mouth. Her mind refused to process the image. It was impossible. She looked again. She pulled the curtain wide open. A baby elephant stood outside her window. It was small. Its head barely reached the windowsill. Its skin was wrinkled and dusted with dirt. Its ears, large and floppy, twitched. Its trunk was a curious muscle, sniffing the air, tapping the glass. It was the source of the sound. The fear in Deepika's chest did not vanish. It changed. The sharp terror became a heavy weight of disbelief and caution. A calf meant a mother. A mother elephant would be close. A mother elephant protecting her young was one of the forest's greatest dangers. She scanned the darkness behind the calf. She saw nothing but the dense tangle of trees and shadows. She heard nothing but the chirping of crickets. The mother was not in sight. But that meant nothing. She could be meters away, silent and waiting. The calf tapped the glass again. Its gaze held hers. There was no menace in its eyes. There was only a quiet, searching quality. A loneliness. Deepika recognized it instantly. She saw it in her own reflection every morning. She did not open the window. She did not go outside. She stood there for a long time. She watched the small elephant. The elephant watched her back. Eventually, its trunk drooped. It turned with a soft, mournful sigh. It disappeared back into the blackness of the trees. Deepika did not sleep for the rest of the night. She sat by the window. She listened. She waited for a sound, the enraged trumpet of a mother elephant who found a human too close to her child. It never came. The next night, it returned. The gentle tapping woke her again. This time, she was not afraid. She was prepared. She went to the window and saw the same small, wrinkled face, the same searching eyes. Again, she scanned the tree line for the mother. Again, there was nothing. This was wrong. A calf this young would not be alone for 2 straight nights. It would not survive. A new feeling pushed through her caution. It was a deep, aching pity. The calf looked thin, thinner than yesterday. Its movements were slow, weak. Deepika went to her small kitchen. She took a banana from the bunch hanging from a rafter. She returned to the window. Her heart pounded a different rhythm now. It was a rhythm of decision. She slowly unlatched the window. She pushed it open a few inches. The calf flinched. It took a hesitant step back. "It is all right," Deepika whispered. Her voice was hoarse. She held the banana out through the gap. "Here, for you." The calf watched her hand. Its small trunk lifted. It sniffed the air. It sniffed the fruit. It was a long moment of stillness. The fate of the night rested in that small space between them. The trunk extended. It was tentative. It brushed against her fingers as it wrapped around the banana. The touch was surprisingly gentle. The skin was rough, like old leather. The calf pulled the banana from her grasp. It put the fruit in its mouth. It ate it quickly. When it finished, it looked at her. It made a low rumbling sound in its chest. It was a sound of contentment. It pressed its head against the window frame for a moment. Then it turned and walked back into the forest. Deepika stayed at the open window. The scent of the forest filled her home. It was the scent of her entire life, but tonight it smelled different. It smelled of a choice made, of a line crossed. The visits became a ritual. Every night, the calf would appear at her window. Every night, Deepika would feed it. Bananas at first, then mangoes, then chunks of sugar cane she bought from a farmer in the next village. The calf grew stronger. Its eyes lost their desperate, searching look. They now held a look of recognition, of trust. Deepika named him Akash Sky. It seemed right. He had appeared out of the night sky, a small star falling into her quiet life. She learned his sounds, the low rumble of happiness, the soft huff of impatience when she was too slow with the food, the high-pitched squeak of alarm if a jackal howled too close. Her caution about the mother faded with each passing night. A week passed, then 2. No mother elephant appeared. The truth settled on Deepika with a sad certainty. Akash was alone. The villagers started to notice. First, it was Mrs. Sharma from down the path. She saw Deepika buying a large quantity of sugarcane. "That is a lot of sugarcane for one person, Deepika," she said. Her eyes were sharp with curiosity. "I have developed a sweet tooth," Deepika replied. It was a weak lie. Then a young boy cutting through the woods saw Akash leaving Deepika's house at dawn. The boy ran back to the village square. His eyes were wide. An elephant! A wild elephant at Deepika's house! The news spread like fire in dry grass. A crowd gathered outside her small home that evening. They kept their distance. They were armed with suspicion and fear. The village elder, Mr. Singh, stepped forward. He was an old man with a face like a dried riverbed. He had seen many things. "Deepika," he called out. His voice was firm. "The boy speaks of an elephant. Is this true?" Deepika stepped out of her house. She faced them. Her hands were clasped behind her back to hide their shaking. "It is a calf. He is alone." "Alone or not, an elephant is an elephant," another man shouted. "It is a danger. It will destroy crops. It will attract its herd." "There is no herd," Deepika said. Her voice gained strength. "I have watched for weeks. He is an orphan." "You cannot know that," Mr. Singh said, his tone softening slightly. "You are a good woman, Deepika, but you do not understand the wild. This is not a pet. It is a force of nature. You must send it away, for the safety of everyone." Fear for Akash gripped her. Send him away where? To starve? To be taken by a tiger? "He is not a danger," she insisted. "He is a child. He is hungry, and he is alone." The crowd murmured. They were not convinced. They saw a threat. She saw a life worth saving. She saw a lonely soul, just like her own. "I will find out what happened," she declared. The words came out before she had time to think. "I will prove he is no threat." Mr. Singh stared at her for a long moment. He saw the fire in her eyes. It was the same fire he had seen in her husband's eyes, a stubborn refusal to bend. "Be careful, Deepika," he said finally. "The forest does not forgive mistakes." The next morning, Deepika woke before dawn. She left food and water for Akash in her small, walled garden, a place she now left open for him at night. She packed a small bag with water and some flatbread. She followed the faint tracks Akash left each morning. The trail led her away from the village. It led her deeper into the forest than she had been since Samir's death. The air grew thicker here. The canopy of leaves overhead blocked out the sun. Strange birds called from unseen branches. She walked for hours. The tracks were faint, washed by dew and covered by fallen leaves. But she was persistent. She moved with a purpose she had not felt in a long time. Late in the afternoon, she found it. The path opened into a scene of destruction. A huge swath of the forest was flattened. Giant trees were uprooted, their roots reaching for the sky like skeletal hands. The ground was a churned mess of mud and splintered wood. It was the scar of a storm, a violent, terrible storm from weeks ago. She remembered the sound of the wind that night, the sound of rain lashing against her roof. She walked through the devastation. Her heart grew heavy. This is where it happened. This is where Akash lost his family. She found a place where the earth had given way. A small landslide of mud and rock had cascaded down a steep ravine. She saw the tracks, the large, deep prints of a full-grown elephant herd. They were on one side of the slide. They were panicked, scrambled. On the other side, Isolated and small was a single set of a calf's prints. He had been separated here. The herd, driven by the storm's fury and the instinct for survival, had moved on. They could not cross the unstable ground to retrieve one lost child. They had to save the many. Deepika sat on a fallen log. The silence of the place was profound. She understood Akash's journey now, his aimless wandering, his fear, his search for any comfort, any companionship. He had not found his herd. He had found her window. She returned to the village as dusk fell. She did not need to speak. The story was in her eyes. The villagers who saw her return understood. Her solitary journey into the forest was proof enough of her commitment. Mr. Singh met her at the edge of the village. "You found the place," he stated. It was not a question. Deepika nodded. "The storm. A landslide." He nodded slowly. "I see. The forest has taken his family, and it has given him to you." The village's fear began to change. It did not disappear overnight, but it softened. It became a cautious curiosity. People would watch from a distance as Deepika fed Akash in the evenings. They saw not a monster, but a small creature eating mangoes from a woman's hand. They saw the gentle way he touched her with his trunk. They heard the low rumble of his happiness. The bond between Deepika and Akash deepened. It was forged not in words, but in shared silence, in quiet moments. He would wait for her in the garden each evening. She would talk to him as she prepared his food. She told him about her day. She told him stories about Samir. He would listen, his head cocked, his dark eyes fixed on her. One evening, she sat on her porch steps while he ate. He finished his meal and came to her. He nudged her gently with his head. Then he did something new. He wrapped his trunk loosely around her arm. He held it there. It was not a request for food. It was a gesture of connection, an embrace. Tears welled in Deepika's eyes. She leaned her head against his rough, wrinkled skin. The loneliness that had been her constant companion for a year finally receded. It was replaced by the solid, warm presence of this strange, wonderful friend. They explored together, not deep in the forest, but in the safe, sun-dappled meadows nearby. She would walk. He would follow, his small frame trotting to keep up. He would spray her with water from a stream. She would laugh. It was a sound her own ears had not heard in a long time. Word of the woman and the orphan elephant spread beyond their small village. A journalist from a city paper arrived, then a photographer. Their story became a small legend, a symbol of hope, a testament to a love that crossed the boundary of species. The forest department came. A kind, serious man named Mr. Rao arrived in a jeep. The villagers gathered, their faces now filled with concern for Deepika and Akash. Mr. Rao watched them together. He saw Deepika hand Akash a piece of fruit. He saw the calf rest its trunk on her shoulder. "He is healthy," Mr. Rao observed. "You have done a remarkable job, Mrs. Deepika." "He is my friend," Deepika said simply. Her heart was tight with worry. She knew why he was here. Sanctuaries, reserves, places far away. "Ordinarily, we would relocate him to a reserve," Mr. Rao said, confirming her fear. "It is policy. It is for his safety and the village's." He looked around. He saw the faces of the villagers. He saw Mr. Singh step forward. "He is no danger to us," the elder said. His voice was firm. "He is one of us now. He is our village's elephant." Mr. Rao looked from the elder to Deepika. He looked at the young elephant that stood calmly by her side. He saw a bond that no policy could account for. "The law is rigid," Mr. Rao said slowly. "But life is not. He is bonded to you. To move him now would be a cruelty. It would break his spirit." He made a decision. "He can stay, under your care. The department will provide support. Veterinary checks. We will register him as a unique case." Relief washed over Deepika so powerfully that her knees felt weak. She placed a hand on Akash's side. He rumbled, sensing her emotion. The years passed. Akash was no longer a small calf who could peer through a window. He was a young adolescent, strong and tall. His tusks were just beginning to show. He did not sleep in her garden anymore. He was too big. He slept in the forest at the edge of her property, but their ritual remained. Every evening, he would come to her house. She would feed him. They would spend time together in the quiet twilight. Their friendship settled into a comfortable, enduring rhythm. It was a part of the village, a part of the forest, a part of Deepika's life. One moonlit night, much like the first, Deepika sat on her porch. Akash stood before her, his massive form a comforting shadow. He had finished his meal. He was quiet. He simply stood with her. She reached out and rested her hand on his trunk. The skin was familiar. The bond was a living thing between them. It had saved him from the forest. It had saved her from her grief. He had come to her window as an orphan. He had been looking for a family. In this quiet woman, in this small village, he had found one. Deepika looked up at the moon. She felt a profound peace. The tapping on her window so long ago had not been an intrusion. It had been a beginning. It had been the sound of a treasure arriving in the most unexpected form.